What's up, my Bitcoin adventurers? So here we are again with Bitcoin tanking, continuing to tank into its bear trend. And are you freaking out? Are you selling? Are you panicking? What are you doing? Leave a comment. Let me know what you're doing. I'm getting texts like crazy, and it's funny because uh, they range from. I'm looking at this one now. It's funny. They range from oh crap, shitcoin is tanking again, meaning Bitcoin, to people who really know me text me. Looks like it's time to buy some more Bitcoin and Neo. So some people get it. Some people need a little more time to get it. But that is definitely the right attitude. And I've been saying way back in, we'll see this yellow section I circle here. I keep coming back to that phase 2 line, that this trend line that I drew way back, and I went back and found the video. It was, which was the first one? So this was the first one. Okay, so when Bitcoin was down here at 50 something, I can't read it. It's 56, I think. 59. I drew this circle saying it looking like it's going to go straight into this phase 2 line. And it actually didn't. It rejected it. Not rejected it, but it started to rally ahead of it. So if we switch back to the Bitcoin chart, you can see that was this leg here. Right? And I was drawing it looked like it was heading towards this line, but it didn't. It started to go up, and it started to test this resistance here, the green line on the top, and actually went through it, which was pretty positive, because when it breaks these triangles, it's usually a good sign that now that triangle, the top of it, becomes the floor. But it failed, and it failed on this ETF news. But it really doesn't matter, because even up here, I was and I wasn't the only one, a lot of people very apprehensive about it, because it didn't shake out enough. Everyone kind of felt, looking at the charts, that it really needed to shake out more to have a real healthy return to higher prices. And that's what it did. It fell. It broke through this floor, right? Because now it became a floor, and it's looking like right on schedule. It's heading right towards this yellow circle. So this first one I did, where it didn't quite make it here, didn't quite make it. It started to go back up again. This was back in June 29th is when I did that video, and this one was more recent, July 17th, where I had this circle, the same one you're seeing now. So, I mean, if it goes up, great. If it comes down, better. That's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, it's times like these that really are going to test your mettle. If you're hodling, if you have most of your funds in Bitcoin, I mean, all the cryptos got hurt by this ETF news, and all it is that the SEC delayed their decision on a very critical ETF proposal, a very legit, a very respected proposal for a real Bitcoin ETF, which would mean a lot of money coming into crypto, and that's what kind of led up to this little bit of a rally here, and then ultimately its demise when it fell apart. A lot of people saying this is kind of an overreaction. I don't think so. I think it's about right. I would say this whole rally leading up here, this kind of upside down V here, that was all the ETF business, the Winklevoss one, and then no one really cared that the Winklevoss one got denied, and then we had the next one, which was the better one, and that one got delayed, and it tanked. So maybe a little bit of an overreaction, because it wasn't an outright denial, it was delayed. So, but it had to play out, and this is based on this. This line is based on the Hyperwave 2 line. It's a trend line that I drew way back, whenever. This trend line has been as far back as I can remember. But it's based on Hyperwave, which is bubbles typically go in a 7-leg pattern, with the one leg being the beginning, where it's basically flat, where it has a little bit of a pop on the 2-leg, which kind of starts the bullish bubble, so to speak. The 3-leg is a little higher, and the 4-leg is downright parabolic, and usually lasts for a pretty decent amount of time. As you can see, the 4-leg is longer than the 3 and the 2, followed by a huge correction, which is 5, and then like a fake out 6, and then 7-leg takes it all the way back down to 1, sometimes past 1, right? So we're hoping, those of us that are bullish on Bitcoin, that it's going to return to the 2-leg and bounce off of it, because there's just so many people that are not going to sell Bitcoin, because it's been on that 2-leg I should say above the 2-leg for a very long time, and I would think it wouldn't go too much below it, because now you're cutting into the people that were holding way back here in 2017 April time frame. So the 2-leg, in my eyes, is a huge support for the price of Bitcoin. So here's the news and the subsequent reaction to the ETF postponement. This is this Ethereum? Yeah, this is Ethereum. You can see the SEC was announced here, and it tanked. XRP, Litecoin, they all reacted pretty much the same. And this guy here tweeted out, this is Jake Chervinsky. He's a lawyer with he's in it with a law firm that handles a lot of financial litigation, security litigation. So this is someone who knows what he's talking about in terms of the SEC. And he's very pro Bitcoin. I went to his Twitter channel, and he's very pro Bitcoin, and he predicted that it was going to get delayed. So I started following this guy. I'm following a lot of people on Twitter, and I suggest you do as well, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But basically I want to read what he said. Expected result earlier than expected execution. So he was expecting it to get delayed. He didn't expect it to happen so soon. New deadline Sunday, September 30th, exactly 45 days from the prior deadline, August 16th. I had predicted October 1st, thinking the SEC would carry the deadline over to next Monday. So, and he also, in the later tweets, he says that he predicts it's going to get delayed again, pushing it probably to December. So we may not be looking at a SEC making a decision until the end of the year, or if not next year. So why I was bringing up Twitter is that this article came up in my feed. Yale Research identifies best times to buy major cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, the top guys. And basically it boils down to when they see an increase in the word Bitcoin in tweets, that the price is expected to go up within a week by 2.5%. That's based on the studies that they did. And conversely, the opposite is true. When someone says, has the word Bitcoin and hack together in the tweet, that you can expect the price to fall within a week of 2.5%. Pretty interesting. So with that being said, Twitter is President Trump uses it very, arguably very effectively as a tool to communicate with people, bypassing the media, and it's used by probably all of the celebrities. For the most part, a lot of the time it gets them in trouble, but there is no denying that Twitter is definitely a sort of hive mind of what's going on and what everyone is thinking about. So I have been following like Voorhees, I've been following Roger Ver, I've been following Charlie Lee from Litecoin, and anyone who's a name in this space, I follow them, who's attached to projects, blockchain projects, not just the ones I'm interested in, but all of them, to kind of get a bead on what's going on. And I suggest you do that too. It's a very powerful tool. All right, so I wanted to talk about this article that came across my table here and how it ties into kind of the direction of my channel. What's going on here is Tezos is being sued. Tezos is a blockchain similar to Ethereum. It has the smart contracts. It has its coin. It's a cryptocurrency. It's community governed, and they have the Winklevoss twins are major backers of this project, and they're being sued over their ICO that they had last year. One particular person invested 250 ETH. He claims that it was because of marketing that was targeting U.S. residents around the time that they were targeting U.S. residents around the time that the SEC pretty much made it illegal. And the people behind it, the husband and wife duo behind the project, behind Tezos, are claiming it was a fundraiser, a digital fundraiser, not technically an ICO. So whatever the case may be, it's important that everybody understands, anyone that's in cryptocurrency, especially if you're in the U.S., that you understand what the SEC is determining what is a security in regards to cryptocurrencies. And they've come forward. He says right here, the SEC chief, who's Jay Clayton, said on CNBC that he looks at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, but he named Bitcoin specifically. So none of the other cryptocurrencies are out of the woods yet, although they did say Ethereum more recently, Ethereum was looped in with Bitcoin on how they view it. They don't view it as a security, they view it as a replacement for fiat. So you could take your yen, your dollars, your British pound, whatever you're holding, and you can turn it into Bitcoin, and they're not considering that a security. Now you become the bank, you assume the risk, you assume the responsibility, but they're looking at it as the same thing. Where it gets iffy is when you invest in an ICO where you're giving your money with the expectation that the person you're giving the money to, or the entity, the company, corporation, team, project, whatever it may be, you're expecting a rate of return or some kind of return on that investment. You expect that person to go forth and make more money with it and share it with you. That's what would be considered a security. And as far as the SEC is concerned, anything resembling that is going to be illegal if it's not registered and approved by the SEC. So it is very clear. ICOs are completely off the table if you're a U.S. resident. Anything resembling it, that includes your lending platforms. This is why I'm not doing videos, and I'm not getting involved with arbitraging, which is a BitConnect-like lending platform where you give them your cryptocurrencies and they go out and they try to, through arbitraging, earn a rate of return and share it with the investors. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I have friends that are outside of the country, outside of the U.S., that are doing well with it, or at least say they're doing well with it. But because of the regulations that we have in the U.S., I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not getting involved with any of that. Definitely, you won't be seeing me promoting it. So basically what I'm saying is the days of the wild, wild west are over when it comes to cryptocurrency. That's not to say that there isn't profit to be made. I'm a technologist by trade. When I found cryptocurrency, when I found Bitcoin, I fell in love with the technology. That's why I'm here. That's why I continue to be a believer. Why I research every day and I watch the news, and that's what motivates me to come forward and to do videos. So in regards to my channel, you won't be seeing any of that type of stuff, the smart contract stuff, which I think are the SEC, the government agencies are looking into those as well, because I was reading up on what determines what the securities law is, and there's a lot of legalese here, but this paragraph here really summed it up for me as far as what would be considered a security. And it's this the motivation of the buyer and the seller. So I'll just read this real quick. The first factor is described as the motivation that prompts a reasonable seller and buyer to enter into the transaction. If the seller's motivation is to raise money for his or her business and the buyer's motivation is to earn profits, then the note is likely a security, even if the note, and you can replace that with token, is not necessarily characteristic of a security. If the investor reasonably expected that they were buying a security and would be protected by the company's securities laws, the courts can determine that indeed a security has been sold. So if the motivation is that I'm buying a token to either earn dividends based on the action of others, then that's considered a security. So, and basically they make the rules. So, and it's purposely written, and it said it a few times here in some of this. I read most of it, that it's purposely written to be vague. So some of this stuff, when it gets in those gray areas, has to be argued in the courts when it's a gray area. But that being said, I think there's an incredible opportunity in just Bitcoin, Ethereum, the top three: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and you can go down probably in 10 cryptocurrencies in CoinMarketCap and do really, really well in the very near future without having to deal with any of these investment-like opportunities where you're forking over and you're giving someone else control over your crypto. Again, not that there's anything wrong with it, but for me, I don't think it's worth the risk. Considering all the opportunities and all the projects that now they're starting to come into fruition, and they're starting to form alliances and create partnerships, and governments and businesses, Fortune 500s, are now being open and embracing cryptocurrencies and blockchain. So in regards to the direction of my channel, my schedule is going to be changing soon. Lately I haven't had a lot of time to kind of gather my thoughts and do the videos the way I really want to. And I've also experimented with different formats, like I did the whole ranting in the car thing on the way to work, and I've done the live streams and this, that, reading the news, technical analysis. I'm not your day trading type of guy. That's not my thing. Personally, I think it's too stressful. I can't do it. I don't have the time to do it. I'm more of a believer in the technology and investing over time, and investing at the right moments where there's the least amount of risk over the long term. And going from, I do trade, but it's more of a timing thing for me at a macro level, and not the day trading. It just doesn't interest me to make $100 here, $200 there, only to lose $200 here and $100 there. So there's plenty of other channels for day trading. That's not to say I might get into that in the future, but it just doesn't fit my lifestyle right now. So that being said, I'm open to suggestions. So if you guys have any requests, anything you want to see more of, anything I'm doing right, leave a comment. I'm open to suggestions. Anything you want to see less of, go ahead and let me know. So that's really all I wanted to say for this video. Keep the faith, stay profitable, my friends, and I will see you hopefully very soon. Peace.